We're back. You know, Chase has been issuing letters to their business customers. This isn't Joe Sixpack or the average citizen, but to their business banking customers, that from November 17 onward, they will be banning customers from sending international wire transfers, and they will be limiting them to account activity of $50,000 per statement cycle per account. Now, that brings to mind, and by the way, there's letters, many businesses are getting these letters. I'll read you one. October 9th is the date on this, and the name of the business has been blacked out. We're making changes to your account, ending in 2224. Dear business customer, we appreciate your business, and we want to let you know of upcoming changes to Chase Business Select Checking with Interest and Chase Business Classic Checking with Interest. For your account listed above, beginning November 17th, 2013, bullet point 1, you will no longer be able to send international wire transfers. It's in bold. Goes on to say, you will still be able to send domestic wires and receive both domestic and international wires. We'll cancel any international wire transfers, including recurring ones you scheduled to be sent after this date. Wow. So you can't send any money out of the country. You can get money into the country, but you can't send any out. You can still send money from Chicago to New Orleans, but you can't send any money from Chicago to Brazil. Bullet point 2. Your cash activity limit for these accounts will be $50,000 per statement cycle per account. Cash activity is the combined total of cash deposits made at branches, night drops, and ATMs, and cash withdrawals made at branches, including purchases of money orders and ATMs. Wow. I mean, the cash activity limit is $50,000. So basically, you won't be able to, and if they're classifying that as the combined total of all cash deposits made at branches, night drops, ATMs, and cash withdrawals made at these branches and ATMs, you are going forward limited to a $50,000 stipend, essentially, irrespective of the fact that it's your money. Here it goes on to say, these changes will help us more effectively manage the risks involved with these types of transactions. You're receiving this letter based on the activity of your checking account as of June 30th, 2013. Based on your activity at that time, these changes are not likely to affect the way you bank. So in other words, they went and pulled their records and looked at this company, whoever this given company is, and they said, okay, these guys might do $30,000 or $20,000 a month in deposits and withdrawals from ATMs, night drops, and branches, cash withdrawals. And so it won't really affect them, so let's just send them the notice. And here's why. Well, I'm going to get into why in a moment. I want to finish reading the letter. If you have a business savings account, you'll see a message on your statement that you can't send domestic or international wire transfers from savings accounts starting November 17th. If you have questions or want to learn about other products that might benefit your business, as if this is great news, please visit a branch or call us anytime at 800-242-7338. Thank you for choosing Chase. We look forward to serving all of your financial needs. Sincerely, Donna Vieira, Senior Vice President, Chase Business Banking. Okay. So, number one, many business customers are getting these letters over the past week, informing them that cash activity, deposits and withdrawals combined, will be limited to a $50,000 per month window or statement cycle. So it might be, a day or so more or less than a month. Now, there was a letter that was received by a charter school. It's an elementary school in Colorado that tells them that the option to send both international and domestic wire transfers has been withdrawn from Chase Business savings account holders. So there's the confirmation that they are borrowing you from doing any money transfers through wire transfer for savings accounts. The letter states, we will no longer allow wire transfers from business savings accounts. Beginning November 17th, you will no longer be able to send domestic or international wire transfers from your Chase Business Savings account. You will still be able to receive them. So we're letting money in, but nobody here gets out alive, right? Remember the old Doors song? All right, so here's what the problem is. First of all, apparently Chase knows something we don't know. This is fueling a lot of concern because the speculation would be that the banks have got to be preparing for something that we don't know about. Otherwise, why would they be determined to keep all the money in and none gets out of the country, nor can you even get it out of your account? In other words, if the money is in your account, let's assume for argument's sake that you're this charter school and you've got $250,000 in your savings account. And that money gets put into there and then, from time to time gets transferred over to some kind of a brokerage account where it might go into investments or whatever. Maybe it's collection on your pension funds or whatever the case may be. So the idea is you can no longer wire transfer that money. Now, I suppose what you could do is you could write a company check for, the $250,000. And, as the money collects in the savings account over the course of the month, it bears a little bit of interest. And so at the end of the month or the end of a 60-day cycle or however their business is structured, they say, okay, so now we've got $250,000 or $500,000 in this account, and we're now going to take it and we're going to move it over to a different type of account where it actually gets invested, where we can generate some interest on it. Maybe we buy treasuries, or maybe we buy, bonds of some sort, or whatever the case may be. What you now have is a scenario where you can't get the money out through a wire transfer. You have to physically write a check. Here's where this problem gets ugly. Chase is basically stating to you that you no longer have the option of how to control and utilize the money that you own that you have deposited with that bank. They want to make it hard for customers to have any kind of control over their own money. And we're talking about business accounts now. $50,000, folks, in a business account is really almost nothing. I mean, small businesses routinely would go through $50,000 in a billing cycle or a statement cycle. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of cash here. That may sound like a lot to the guy who makes a couple $1,000s a month and his wife makes $1,000 or $2 and, they kind of cover the bills. But when you're talking about a business, it doesn't take a small business very long. I mean, look, a business that's doing $1.2 million a year, which doesn't even register on the radar stick of a small business. I mean, that's a micro business. $100,000 a month. You got to assume that at least 50% of that is in travel and movement to buy and sell their product or service or whatever they do. This move to limit deposits and withdrawals and ban international wire transfers, I got to tell you, it doesn't even have a logical argument to it. Their argument, I'm assuming, is to say, since they're doing this to protect you, is to limit fraud. Well, I got to tell you, wire fraud, bank wire fraud, is not really as large a crisis as they would give you to believe. Many companies are going to find it impossible to do business with this. Now, I got to tell you, this comes in conjunction with a couple of other things that are happening. There are a number of other banks, and actually these are the two biggest banks in the country that over the course of just October alone, there were Financial Times reported on two different banks that were actually kind of stuffing their ATMs with far more money than they normally do. And basically, Zero Hedge had an article out there on October 4th. U.S. banks are stuffing ATMs with 20 to 30% more cash in case of panic withdrawals. One senior executive of a bank, this is a quote out of the Financial Times article. One senior executive said his bank was delivering at least 20 to 30% more cash than usual in case panicked customers tried to withdraw funds en masse. The bank is also holding daily emergency meetings to discuss steps, including possible free overdraft for customers reliant on Social Security payments from the government. What this tells us, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are, the banks are preparing for what they know to be coming. And of course, a company the size of Chase has such inside information from the Treasury and from, their employees in Congress that it's not surprising that they know what you don't know. There's an update tied to the bottom of this story, and I'll read it to you, and then I'm going to take a break. Chase Bank confirmed to InfoWars, and that's where this article is posted. This is on a InfoWars website. Chase Bank confirmed to InfoWars that all business account holders were being subjected to these new regulations. Given that even a relatively small grocery store or restaurant is likely to turn over more than $50,000 a month in cash payments, this appears to be part of a wider move to shut down businesses who deal mainly in cash. Chase told us customers would have to upgrade to a much more expensive account to avoid the capital controls, meaning larger corporations will not be affected because they already utilize those. The bottom line is that banks think your money is their money and will do everything in their power to prevent you from withdrawing it in large quantities. Okay. So the game plan afoot here is that since this incorporates both deposits and withdrawals, if you are a bank, if you are a banking customer and you go to the night drop and you drop in, $5,000 a night, which is the proceeds from your store, and it's cash because you don't take credit cards, or you run a business that has, I don't know, maybe you run a business that still draws $5,000 of cash, or maybe you sell high ticket items. I mean, it's not unreasonable that someone who's in the appliance business or someone who's in the car business would get large volumes of cash. Just another symptom, another example of where we are. America, we are in a crisis right now. And I'm not calling, this is not the same crisis that James Madison warned us of. Madison said to us, crisis is the rallying cry of the tyrant. And if you'll look back and just give yourself a 2-week window to look back at what's transpired over the course of the last 2 weeks alone, the tone of those people in Congress calling the representatives in the House who were fighting against this budget increase, calling them terrorists, suicide bombers, calling them extremists. That is the personification of Madison's warning. The word crisis used by someone who's not in power is an alert. The word crisis used by someone who is in power, it's the rallying cry of tyrants. And boy, oh boy, are we into tyranny. You've been listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. Please find our website where we have all kinds of information posted up there, stories, articles, and all of our videos. You can capture every show that we do by going to americasvoicenow.org and after the show, and we put them up there on the website for you to see. You can find us on Facebook by going to facebook.com/America's Voice Now. And then you can also find our videos up on our YouTube channel, which basically, whether you go to our website or the YouTube channel, you can find them there. That address is youtube.com/America's Voice Now. I strongly ask you and encourage you to watch a show if it captures your imagination, if it educates you, if it informs you. Please, please share them with some friends. We'll be back in just a moment, and we're going to cover the new Democratic Republic of America.